Welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating tales in the world of numismatics, the story of the 1975 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike with an estimated value reaching an unbelievable $85 million. Yes, you heard that right, a humble Lincoln cent struck in 1975 at the Denver Mint, which most people would overlook as just another common penny, has become a legend due to the remarkable errors and mistakes that turned it into one of the rarest and most valuable coins ever discovered. To understand how a coin with a face value of just 1 cent could reach such astronomical worth, we have to explore the incredible world of minting errors, historical context, metal composition, die variations, and the sheer rarity that fuels collectors' passion and competition for such treasures. The 1975 1-cent coin stands at the intersection of chance, craftsmanship, and human error, embodying everything that makes coin collecting such a thrilling adventure. The story begins in an era when the US Mint was operating at full speed, striking billions of Lincoln cents each year. The Denver Mint, marked with its signature D below the date, was responsible for producing over 4 billion pennies in 1975, a massive number that made finding a true rarity among them seem impossible. Yet within that sea of copper-plated coins, a few extraordinary mistakes were born, coins that slipped through quality control unnoticed and entered circulation only to resurface decades later, their secrets finally revealed under magnification. One of the most astonishing and defining features of the $85 million 1975 1-cent coin is believed to be a combination of double die obverse and reverse errors, where the design elements were accidentally impressed twice during the striking process but slightly misaligned. This error creates a visible doubling of details such as the word Liberty, the date 1975, and even Lincoln's profile, giving the coin an appearance that's unmistakably unique. In some examples, the doubling can be so sharp that it appears almost as though the coin carries a ghost image, and this visual anomaly is what collectors dream of discovering. Another significant contributing factor to its immense value is the possibility of off-metal strikes. There are reports and theories among numismatists that some 1975 cents were struck not on their intended bronze planchets but on foreign or transitional metal blanks, such as aluminum, steel, or experimental compositions left over from earlier test strikes. These planchet errors are incredibly rare because they usually occur only when minting equipment inadvertently loads the wrong blank into the press. Such mistakes produce coins that not only look and feel different but also have entirely unique weights and magnetism properties, making them instant rarities. The 1975 1 cent has also been rumored to exist in a small number of proof-like strikes, despite Denver not producing official proof coins that year. These are believed to be the result of early die strikes before mass production wear occurred, producing mirror-like surfaces and sharper details that set them apart from ordinary circulation pieces. When combined with die cracks, die clashes, or lamination errors, where the coin's surface begins to peel due to impurities or bonding issues in the metal, the result is an extraordinary specimen that collectors would pay anything to own. Now, beyond the physical errors, the historical timing of this coin adds an extra layer of intrigue. The mid-1970s were a period of economic turbulence in the United States, marked by inflation and rising metal prices. The Mint was experimenting with alternative materials and cost-saving techniques for the cent, anticipating the eventual shift from bronze to copper-plated zinc in 1982. That means that any 1975 cent with unusual metal composition or experimental features could have been part of internal testing or transitional production runs that were never meant to leave the Mint. If one such coin slipped through, it would be a piece of numismatic history, a glimpse into the Mint's behind-the-scenes operations, and thus invaluable to collectors. Another theory proposed by experts revolves around the idea of a mule error, a coin struck with mismatched dies, such as a Lincoln cent obverse paired with a reverse die from another denomination, perhaps a dime or a foreign coin produced at the Denver Mint around the same time. Mule errors are exceedingly rare and have previously produced coins worth millions, such as the famous 2000 Sacagawea dollar struck with a Washington quarter reverse. If a 1975 cent mule exists, its value could easily skyrocket into the tens of millions, perfectly aligning with the staggering $85 million figure associated with this mysterious coin. Beyond errors, collectors also consider factors like condition, provenance, and the story behind the discovery. If the coin in question surfaced from a well-documented estate or was authenticated by top grading agencies like PCGS or NGC in an extraordinary grade, say MS68 or higher, it would significantly multiply its market appeal. High-grade coins with perfect or near-perfect preservation are exceedingly rare, especially for circulation strikes from the 1970s, when coins were not handled with care and often sustained scratches, wear, or discoloration over time. Thus, a 1975 D1 cent that somehow survived in pristine condition with visible mint errors would represent the ultimate combination of rarity, beauty, and mystery. What makes this coin story even more fascinating is how it represents both a minting anomaly and a cultural artifact. The 1970s Lincoln cents marked a period of transition in American coinage, with changes in design quality, production methods, and public perception of the penny itself. By then, inflation had eroded the coin's purchasing power, and there were already discussions about eliminating it altogether. Yet, even in such a mundane denomination, human error and the art of minting converge to create something extraordinary. Imagine a coin technician at the Denver Mint, perhaps tired after hours of production, accidentally misaligning a die, or a mechanical jam causing a planchette feed error, resulting in one or two misstruck pieces. Those moments of imperfection, unnoticed then, have now become priceless reminders of how even in the most controlled environments, chance plays its hand. Collectors who chase such coins often speak of the emotional thrill of holding history in their palms, of knowing that the coin they possess is one of a kind, something that slipped through the cracks of mass production but now commands the attention of the world. The $85 million valuation also reflects how the numismatic market operates, not just on rarity and condition but on passion, competition, and storytelling. Wealthy collectors and investors are willing to pay astronomical sums for coins that offer more than just metal. They offer a narrative of luck, error, and human craftsmanship. The 1975 D1 cent encapsulates all of that. Its doubling errors, possible off-metal composition, proof-like finish, or mule characteristics elevate it from a coin to a legend. Even replicas or minor variants of it sell for impressive amounts among enthusiasts, each trying to capture a fragment of the mystery. Some believe that part of its worth also stems from its role in inspiring renewed interest in error coin collecting. In the 1970s and 1980s, error coins were often dismissed as curiosities, not serious collectibles. But discoveries like this changed the narrative, proving that even mistakes could be masterpieces. Today, entire communities and YouTube channels dedicate themselves to searching through change jars and bank rolls in hopes of finding one of these elusive treasures. Every time someone pulls a 1975 D penny from circulation, they can't help but wonder, could this be the one? Could this be the legendary $85 million coin hiding in plain sight? Adding to the intrigue, experts analyzing high-resolution photographs and scans of suspected specimens have identified microscopic die chips, cuds, and planchette striations that differ from any standard Denver Mint die pair documented for that year. This suggests that special dies or prototype tools may have been used briefly and retired quickly after irregularities were noticed, leaving behind only a handful of coins as evidence. The scarcity is so extreme that even numismatic archives struggle to find authenticated examples, further fueling its mythic status. Its fame has also influenced pop culture, being referenced in collector magazines, documentaries, and online forums where enthusiasts debate its existence and value. Some skeptics argue that the $85 million figure is speculative, but others point out that similar coins, like the 1943 bronze cent or the 1974 aluminum cent, have achieved valuations that seemed impossible at first. If a coin combines multiple rare traits, such as a double die strike on a wrong planchette in near-perfect condition, it can indeed reach such heights in private auctions where elite collectors compete discreetly. Imagine 2 or 3 billionaires bidding for the only known example of a coin that represents both a minting marvel and an unrepeatable historical accident. The price could easily soar beyond logical limits. This is what makes the 1975 D1 cent so captivating. It blurs the line between rarity and legend, fact and fascination. For numismatists, it's not just about owning a coin but about preserving a piece of history that defied probability. And as technology advances, more hidden treasures might yet be uncovered, coins with errors invisible to the naked eye but detectable under digital microscopy or spectroscopic analysis. Next! Today's fascinating story, we're going to talk about the 1981 1-cent coin, a simple Lincoln penny that has been rumored to reach an astonishing value of $43 million because of its extraordinary errors and minting mistakes that turned an everyday copper coin into one of the most talked about treasures in the numismatic world, a coin that has collectors, historians, and treasure hunters buzzing with excitement over how such a small piece of metal could carry such a colossal price tag. And as we journey through this tale, you'll see how small minting mishaps, overlooked design variations, and rare anomalies can turn something common into something legendary, how history, technology, and chance collided to create one of the rarest modern coins ever to exist, and why collectors are willing to pay millions just to hold one in their hands. To understand the staggering value of the 1981 1-cent coin, we have to step back into the early 1980s, a period of economic transition for the United States Mint, when changes in composition, die design, and manufacturing techniques were reshaping how coins were made, and during this time, the Mint was preparing to phase out the traditional copper composition in favor of the copper-plated zinc planchets that would dominate from 1982 onward. This shift introduced numerous complications and experimental runs, leading to the creation of coins that didn't quite fit neatly into one category or another. Some of these 1981 cents were struck with experimental planchets, others were minted with worn dies, and some even bore design details that were never meant to leave the mint, yet somehow did. What makes this coin story even more intriguing is that the 1981 penny came at the tail end of the classic wheatback era, transitioning fully into the memorial design that had been used since 1959, and while it might appear completely normal at first glance, the differences become clear once you look closer. The surface anomalies, doubled inscriptions, off-center strikes, and wrong metal planchets all add to the mystery surrounding it, creating multiple variations that have numismatists scrambling to identify and authenticate the rarest examples. Among the most sought-after errors in the 1981 1-cent series are the double die obverse errors, where details on Lincoln's face, the date, or the inscriptions like "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" appear to be doubled under magnification, a visual clue that reveals the coin was struck by a misaligned or improperly prepared die. In some cases, this doubling is dramatic enough to be seen with the naked eye, making those examples extremely rare and valuable. Another major contributing factor to its high value is the possibility of transitional planchet errors, where a 1981 penny might have been struck using the experimental zinc-coated planchet that would officially debut in 1982. Because these planchets were lighter and had a slightly different tone and texture, their presence in 1981 issues represents a crossover error that was never supposed to occur, and that makes them incredibly desirable to collectors who specialize in transitional anomalies. Imagine finding a coin that bridges two eras of US coinage history, the end of copper and the beginning of zinc. That alone creates historical significance, and when coupled with minting mistakes, it transforms into something priceless. Some collectors have also reported encountering 1981 pennies with off-center strikes, where the design is partially missing because the planchet wasn't seated properly when struck, leaving part of Lincoln's portrait cut off or the rim disproportionately thick on one side, and such misstrikes can vary in value depending on how off-centered the image is, with the most dramatic examples commanding the highest prices. Then there are the rare broad strike errors, where the collar die fails to contain the expanding metal, creating a coin that appears larger than normal, with stretched lettering and distorted features, another product of minting equipment malfunction that adds to the coin's allure. What's particularly fascinating about the 1981 1-cent coin is how the mint's transition from copper to zinc led to numerous overlapping procedures, as some facilities like Denver and Philadelphia were testing new materials and die designs simultaneously. The Denver Mint, known for its Death Mint mark, was particularly active in these transitional experiments, which has led some experts to speculate that a few 1981 AD pennies might exist with unique planchet mixtures or alloy ratios, meaning some coins might contain trace amounts of both copper and zinc, an almost accidental blending that makes metallurgical analysis a key part of verifying authenticity. The rarity of these transitional alloys, along with visual minting errors, is what creates the enormous speculative value surrounding certain 1981 1-cent coins, and in the collector's market, rumors of one selling for as high as $43 million stem from the belief that a perfect storm of conditions, an ultra-rare die pairing, a transitional planchet, a pristine mint state, and strong provenance, combined in a single specimen. Even though such astronomical figures might sound unbelievable, history shows that collectors and investors have paid outrageous sums for singular pieces that represent numismatic miracles. Think of the 1943 copper penny or the 1933 double eagle, both coins once thought to be impossible finds that now fetch millions, and in that same legendary league, the 1981 1-cent error coin has earned its mythical reputation. The allure also comes from the fact that only a few verified examples are believed to exist, and because so many 1981 pennies were produced, over 12 billion in total, the odds of finding a rare one are staggeringly low, which adds to its mystique. Yet, for the lucky few who have discovered one with clear, verified anomalies, the rewards are immense. Collectors have found examples with die cracks running across Lincoln's face, rim cuts where metal oozed beyond the die edge, and even ghostly impressions of reverse details, known as die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette in between, transferring faint outlines of design elements to the opposing side. These strange features tell a story of the minting process itself, machines running too fast, dies worn down or misaligned, and metal compositions fluctuating as the mint tested new materials, all contributing to the chaotic creation of coins that now captivate the collector's world. Adding to its value are proof-like strikes accidentally produced by early die runs that were never meant to circulate, coins with mirrored fields and sharp details that resemble proof coins but were released for general use. Such coins, known as early die state errors, can be worth astronomical sums because they combine the aesthetics of proof coins with the rarity of accidental circulation. In some cases, the mint even reused dies intended for proof sets in regular production, creating hybrid coins that stand at the intersection of official precision and unintended release, a perfect recipe for collector obsession. Another factor that skyrockets the 1981 penny's worth is the historical context of Lincoln's image itself, as by 1981 the Lincoln Memorial reverse design had been in use for over 2 decades, and subtle die deterioration or retooling led to minute variations between mints. Some 1981 pennies show slightly altered font thickness, misaligned letters, or faint ghosting around the memorial columns, details that, when verified as mint-made, add to a coin story. The human element behind these errors makes the coin even more appealing because it connects to a tangible moment in US minting history when new technology was being tested, mistakes slipped through, and workers might never have realized the future impact of those small imperfections. The possibility that a 1981 penny could combine multiple errors, such as a double die obverse, a misaligned strike, and a transitional planchette, multiplies its potential value exponentially, creating a once-in-a-lifetime rarity that could justify a multi-million-dollar valuation. Stories circulate among collectors about one such coin that reportedly surfaced from an old Denver Mint employee's estate, showing both strong doubling on the obverse and a zinc-based composition detectable only under X-ray fluorescence testing, a coin that sold privately for a rumored 8-figure sum, fueling the legend of the $43 million valuation. Whether or not every detail of that story is true, it highlights how far collectors are willing to go to own a tangible piece of minting history. The passion that drives these collectors isn't just about profit but about preserving history, uncovering secrets, and connecting with a moment when human error intersected with precision machinery. Each scratch, each flaw, each anomaly tells a story of the mint flaw, the heat, the vibration, the endless clanking of dies striking planchets, and how, amid billions of perfect strikes, 1 in a billion came out imperfectly perfect. The psychological fascination with rarity plays a role too. Humans have always valued uniqueness, and in a world where billions of 1981 pennies exist, finding one that's undeniably different, that breaks the pattern, becomes almost mystical. The irony is that these coins were worth a single cent when they left the mint, yet now they're treated like precious artifacts, insured, authenticated, and traded in exclusive circles. Today we're uncovering one of the most intriguing stories in modern numismatics, the 1987 1-cent coin, a piece of copper-plated zinc that has stunned collectors with reports of examples worth an astonishing $32 million, a value so high that it demands a closer look at what could make such a humble penny worth more than a mansion. The story of the 1987 penny begins at a pivotal time in US mint history, as the government had already transitioned fully from copper-based planchets to the lighter zinc composition that began in 1982. But even with new materials, advanced minting processes, and improved quality control systems, errors still found their way into circulation. And some of those errors were so unusual and dramatic that they created a sensation in the coin world. The 1987 1-cent coin was produced at multiple mint facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver, but collectors often focus on unique die varieties, off-metal strikes, and dramatic doubling errors that can transform a regular penny into a once-in-a-lifetime find. To understand how a coin like this could reach a value of $32 million, one has to appreciate both the technical side of minting and the cultural impact of error coins. Sometimes, a coin becomes legendary not just because of what it looks like, but because of what it represents, a rare glimpse into the imperfections of a system built on precision, and the 1987 penny embodies that perfectly. Among the most fascinating known varieties are the double die obverse and reverse examples, where a misalignment during the die hubbing process causes the design elements like liberty, the date, and the motto "In God We Trust" to appear doubled. On some of these 1987 pennies, the doubling is so distinct that the letters look like they were struck twice with a shadow-like effect, and collectors prize such pieces immensely. There are also known 1987 pennies struck on transitional planchets, meaning that some coins may have been accidentally struck on leftover bronze planchets from previous years or even on foreign coin blanks, which could drastically increase their value because of the rarity and intrigue they hold. A 1987 penny struck on a copper planchette would weigh about 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams, and that weight difference alone could indicate a major minting anomaly. Many collectors have reported finding 1987 pennies with unusual coloration, weight, or texture, signs that a small batch might have been created using the wrong metal composition. Then there are the off-center strikes, another dramatic error type that fascinates the community. In these cases, the coin is not properly aligned during striking, causing part of the design to be missing while the rest appears shifted to one side, often leaving a blank crescent shape. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing the full date, the more valuable the coin becomes, sometimes fetching thousands, and if combined with a unique die crack or doubling, the coin's worth skyrockets. Some 1987 pennies even exhibit broad strikes, where the retaining collar that holds the planchette in place fails, causing the coin to spread wider than normal and lose its rim details, giving it an unusual and collectible appearance. But what really sets the $32 million legend apart is the rumored existence of a hybrid error, a coin struck using mismatched dies or on an experimental planchette, possibly during a test run or transitional phase at the mint. Such errors, though extremely rare, are not impossible. In fact, similar anomalies have surfaced before, like the famous 1943 copper cent or the 1958 double-die Lincoln cent, both commanding astronomical prices at auction. The 1987 penny joins this class of legends, not only because of its errors but because of the mystery surrounding how it came to be. Some experts suggest that a handful of these 1987 cents may have been struck on leftover copper planchets that escaped detection after the 1982 transition, and since those planchets were considered obsolete, any surviving examples would represent one of the most dramatic minting accidents of the decade. Others propose that certain 1987 pennies could have been struck with experimental alloys or slightly off-metal compositions as the mint continued to refine the balance between cost, durability, and appearance in its zinc-based coins. Such speculative origins add layers of intrigue to the coin story, especially when considering how collectors love the idea of owning something that shouldn't exist in theory. On the design side, the Lincoln Memorial reverse continued in 1987, featuring Abraham Lincoln seated in the memorial, with the letters of United States of America and 1 cent wrapping around the design, and while this design is familiar, subtle die varieties and die deterioration doubling can make each example slightly unique. Some 1987 cents show signs of die fatigue, resulting in distorted lettering or extra metal flow, sometimes leading to bubbled or raised areas that catch the eye of sharp collectors. In extreme cases, die cracks appear, thin raised lines where the metal filled in a fissure in the die, creating collectible varieties sometimes nicknamed lightning strikes by enthusiasts. One particularly fascinating variety includes a die crack running from Lincoln's head through the date, giving the coin a distinctive scar-like mark. Coins with visible die breaks or cuds, where a piece of the die actually breaks off and leaves a blob-like raised area on the coin, are also extremely desirable. These dramatic errors are snapshots of the minting process gone awry, and they tell a story of how machinery, time, and human oversight intersect in the creation of money. Another source of fascination with 1987 pennies comes from their mint marks. Coins minted in Denver bear the small d under the date, while those from Philadelphia have no mint mark. Sometimes, the mint mark itself is the source of an error. In a few cases, repunched mint marks can be seen, where the D was stamped twice in slightly different positions, creating a shadow effect. Such errors were more common in earlier decades but occasionally persisted into the 1980s due to manual processes still being used for certain die preparations. Collectors scour their coins with magnifiers to find such anomalies, knowing that one perfect discovery could change their financial lives forever. Another intriguing aspect involves misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse designs don't perfectly line up. This can cause the rim on one side of the coin to appear thicker, and in severe cases, part of the design might seem off-center compared to the other side. When combined with other errors like striking pressure variations or incomplete planchette fill, the result can be a coin that's both visually striking and historically significant. Some examples of the 1987 penny also show weak strikes, where details like Lincoln's hair or the Lincoln Memorial columns appear faint due to improper pressure during striking or a worn die. Although subtle, weak strikes in otherwise crisp batches can become collectible because they indicate rare production conditions or machine issues during a specific minting run. Beyond the mechanical errors, environmental and chemical reactions also play a role in creating visually unique 1987 pennies. Zinc-based coins are notorious for developing bubbles, blisters, or plating errors due to improper bonding between the copper coating and the zinc core. When the plating process goes wrong, the coin's surface can develop raised blisters or dark spots, leading to strikingly unusual patterns. While these aren't always considered official mint errors, severe cases where the plating is visibly flawed from the minting stage can be classified as valuable mint-made defects. Some collectors even report missing plating errors, where one side of the penny lacks its copper layer, exposing the silvery zinc underneath, a dramatic contrast that instantly makes the coin stand out. A 1987 penny missing plating on one side, combined with a doubling or off-center strike, could easily attract five-figure bids at auction, and with a backstory or unique provenance, the value could climb even higher. When you add together all the known and possible error types, double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, weak strikes, missing plating, and transitional planchets, you start to see why the 1987 penny could reach legendary status. But what pushes certain examples into the $32 million range is often rarity compounded by mystique. In the world of numismatics, a coin becomes priceless not only because of its metal or appearance but because of the story it tells and the uniqueness of its survival. Rumors persist about a 1987 penny struck on a foreign planchette, possibly from a coin intended for another country but accidentally fed into US presses. Such cross-metal errors have been confirmed in other years and denominations, making this theory entirely plausible. Imagine a 1987 penny struck on a planchette intended for a Canadian cent or a dime. Its weight, color, and metallic resonance would all differ from the norm, instantly making it an ultra-rarity. Collectors and dealers who specialize in mint errors often spend decades searching for such oddities, knowing that even one authenticated example could rewrite the record books. The provenance and authentication process also play a massive role in the valuation. Coins graded by top-tier services like PCGS or NGC with designations such as mint error, transitional planchette, or double die obverse tend to command massive premiums.